Hello. Good to see you. Hmm. Hey. Huh. You might look at the other pages to see who's here today, taking refuge in Sangha. Hmm. Hmm. Hey. Good to see you. Hmm. Hope you're well in these times. Hmm. So please just let your attention settle around your body in whatever posture you're in. And it's interesting to just see if the attention goes to the surface of the skin or you let the attention go wherever it's drawn naturally within the body. The emphasis today being on noticing Vedana. It's noticing pleasant, unpleasant, neutral feeling tone. Not with a heavy hand, but just lightly making space for that within the textures and vibrations that appear moment by moment. There might be softness, hardness, tingling, tightness. For example, hot, cold, warmth, cool. And then for the sitting, just when you notice pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral, at some point just seeing if you can care about the vulnerability of that. A karuna could be kindness. But it's finding some way to soften around and allow just this amazing stream of change. Very lightly. And it might be for some, the attention opens up to a very wide angle lens around our body. The body. You can relate to your body like the body of the earth. earth, air, fire, water, coming and going, moment by moment. Noticing if the awareness can have any care. And it's a caring for things just as they are. A deep acceptance and equanimity. We see the caring for the shifting into hearing right now and be with this open field of awareness, receiving textures and vibrations just as the sounds are happening, disappearing. Noticing if we're receiving the textures and vibration, letting them be just as they are. Including sometimes, again, a very light touch, pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral feeling tone. At times, seeing if you can care about, again, the vulnerability of unpredictable, pleasant, unpleasant, neutral, flowing along, just as it is. Shifting to our hands, what we call my hands. Noticing the visual image we have, a memory, which is a thought. And at times, if you can shift into just what's appearing, without the visual image. And at times, caring about this unpredictable, mysterious flow of pleasant, unpleasant, neutral feeling tone. Not all the time, just sometime. And caring, seeing if you can care about it. Noticing if there's any deeper acceptance of how things are as a result of the care. And the movement of our breath at our abdomen. And just allowing that expansion, contraction, the swell coming into the seashore. If you can, sometimes without the visual image. And just in this appearance of the rising movement, receiving that movement just as it is. Seeing if you can care about the impermanence, the vulnerability of that. And perhaps the care or kindness, making space for a deeper acceptance. Very light touch. And just at times jumping into that flow, sixth sense star flow, moment to moment awareness. And sometimes anchoring. Like this care for things just as they are at time. Whatever appears, we can care about. With great wisdom. Thanks, Amanda, for helping today. And Amanda will help us do the Q&A today. Before we start, I just wanted to offer, there's a way in which for many years we've talked about how mindfulness will purify the equanimity, and equanimity purifies the mindfulness. But I've been trying to come up with a way to talk about that in relationship to the Brahma Viharas. So, for example, Nisargadatta says, love tells me I'm everything, and wisdom tells me I'm nothing. And between the two, my life flows. And of course, that's a moment to moment process itself. So, for example, if you're aware of the stream of Vedana, of pleasant, unpleasant, neutral, at times, it's not like you're supposed to have a heavy hand and just focus on it all the time. But if you're starting to notice, particularly any resistance to the change of that or the appearance of too much pain in the world or whatever it is, it's like if you're noticing Vedana, and you can step back and care about it with the compassion. Um, and then you drop back into the actuality of the stream of change. That process allows for it to become more and more unconditional, so that without the compassion gets less sticky and the equanimity gets more accepting of things as they are. And that what I was trying to instruct today was a kind of a glimpse at that process that's been happening for all of us for years. So I'm not saying there's anything new, but what I'm offering is just to kind of understand that they purify each other and they deepen the practice in that process, so that if the compassion is sticky, the equanimity can come and allow the attention to understand that things are as they are, as much as we don't want the pain to be there. It's like, and not wanting the pain to be there prevents the compassion from being unconditional. That's just a small example, but I'm trying to get across that often, for example, compassion and emptiness are separated, uh, or anatta. Um, they're kept so separate, but what I'm offering is to see how um, the more we can bring our attention to these momentary appearances in our lives, it gets more true and more helpful. So we're able to be with the truth as it is and more free. And of course, all of it, being with that vast range of joy and sorrow with more and more freedom. That's my wish for all of us.
Thank you for that, Michelle. So Michelle's going to take a couple of questions this afternoon or evening, wherever you are. So if you have a question, the easiest way for us to see that is if you click raise hand at the bottom. And if you can't find that, you can put a comment in the chat to me and tell me that you have a question, and we can get that in the queue. And yeah, I think that's it. I can help unmute folks once you have a question.
Hi, Jean.
Hi, Michelle. Welcome back.
Thanks.
I know you've been back for a bit, but um, can you hear me okay?
Mm.
Okay. Um, I have a question about hmm, how to develop kind of sanctuary um, and some protection at a at work. Um, my so I kind of well, I have a team and we've been through a rough patch, and I'd like to create, not imposing, Buddhism or our particular practice, the Mahasi method or anything like that, but just some sense of stability and trust and warmth and sanctuary. And so I just wondered if you had thoughts about how I might be more intentional about that.
Can you give a little bit more detail about how it's difficult at all?
Yeah, we had a person who was very disruptive in who had a leadership position, so and she used that in a way that was really um, problematic, really kind of controlling, and I'm just kind of uncovering exactly how much that was so. And in our work, we are really trying to challenge an entrenched system, um, one that's really hard to move, and to get people to really understand the human side of the cost of people's decisions, the system's decisions as a whole, and the individuals that make it up. And so, yeah, so I guess I have kind of approached it as just a workaday situation for a while myself, just kind of show up, do our job, and deliver what we promise and so on. And with this change, with this person, now out of the picture really quite completely, I'm seeing that there's a lot of passion and a lot of sincerity and a lot of caring from the team, and that there's potential to, um, yeah, turn it into a little bit more of a way to express our individual and collective kind of goodness in the world, and to bring about whatever, tiny ripple effects we can, either on the smaller scale or slightly larger.
Mm.
Anyway, so I just thought this is something of an antidote, if you will, to the oppressive, massive, dark cloud that we seem to be living under right now. And I thought, can we create a little warm, caring space, you know?
Now because I don't have any idea what it really is like at your work situation, I have seen places really change after something that you are describing, and that when there's somebody who's been in a leadership position that shifts out, it sometimes it helps to be able to have some new leadership that is different. Is that possible?
Yeah, we really, that's the neat thing about this, is that I have a lot of ability to bring in whatever makes sense. And actually, you're right. I mean, so I did go looking for some new perspectives, and I got some consultants in, and it's been incredible. It's been surprising even to me how just, yeah, how much they've opened up all of our perspectives. And so anyway, yeah, I have a lot of,
That I have seen that over and over again, where if there's an intention to shift it and people start realizing it's safer and a safer environment, what you can do is try to bring in the value system that you're describing. I mean, I always think food. Do you ever meet around food? Like
yeah, I'm obsessed. I bring in food all the time. So,
you
and
sometimes you
yeah.
have to like articulate it, and sometimes it's you yourself being able to create a kinder, safer environment in whatever way you could see. I don't know if you can have meetings about it. I don't know enough about your
Mhm. Yeah,
situation.
we can.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to do um, formal practice in these situations. It's like we all see that if we're kind, that creates a more kind situation. And
Mhm.
that person is liking that kindness, it's like that starts to become the express value system of the group. Now, it
Mhm.
might not change immediately as fast as you want, but if you start seeing anywhere where you can actually say something to support this change, and give people feedback about I really think it's possible.
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
but again, I mean, if you're not, uh, I mean, my best example is always my stepmother. She's no longer alive, but she really responded to kindness, and she was so mean. But as I started to do the practice and come to visit, and sometimes I'd bring my friends from IMS, and I one time when I went to leave, she was out at the door and she started crying and she said, I still remember it. She said, "You have such nice friends." And she was just like, you see, there was no formal talk about the practice or anything anybody needed to do, but she was responding to the kindness. Do you see like that? That's what matters. What matters is that we actually can um, maybe not say the things that we would rather say that might cause more friction, or like repeat what you're describing as a very difficult system to move. But often these things can happen from the ground up rather than the top down. And it really, I think a lot of it will depend on the friendships within the growing friendships that are possible within what you're describing. And that's why, potlucks, food, anytime people are sitting around and, it could become something formal. If you have consultants, of course, then it can become more formal.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
even if it was like a meeting about the possibility of more friendship within the group, that opens up the possibility of what that might even mean or look like.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a making space for people to go for a walk together or to have some tea together or any of these things that bring about something more human.
Yeah. Yeah, in the last week we have gone outside. We've just gone outside and sat in the grass a few times. And that has been really nice. So yeah, maybe we'll, without any pressure, but just create a little space for, okay, nature time if anybody wants it for 15 minutes or something like that. And I love the idea of friendships. Mm, yeah. You know, we think of it as network or, you know, colleagues or whatever, but to think about the friendship in the relationship is a lovely thing to remember.
I don't know. I mean, I do think that things tend to flow to what might be more comfortable and easy rather than maybe making it like going outside and it being pleasant. But also, you have to get through those places where you're creating a little bit of uncomfortable vulnerability. Like it's all around people being willing to get out of their old speech patterns. And we all see that in our homes or relationships. So it's like there's a way um, that what is talked about can actually change.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And that to me is the most important part
Mm, mm,
is that to be able to see what we're actually falling back on, like old habits of speech patterns. Or speech patterns might not be the right word. It's like the content of the speech can tend to get very comfortable and rote. And when we look at it, this is where the Buddhist stuff comes in. You don't have to say it, but often at the end of retreats, for example, we would have people look at when they get together how much they're talking about somebody else. Now, that you don't have to call that something Buddhist, but you can call it something like, if you do go outside, is there a way that you talk about something that doesn't include talking about other people? Because that forces people to be in the present moment. And it's usually uncomfortable. But it actually makes for a much better friendship. Now, that might be too far. I mean, that's kind of going, it might be going too far, but even if it was 5 minutes of a exercise, um, it's awesome. I'm not just saying this for your workplace. It's like for all of us. It's like, it's very hard to do speech without talking about somebody else that isn't present, for example. It really lowers the chit chat and it makes for a lot more silences and one has to kind of come back to oneself and usually have to look at what's going on with oneself. And even if one doesn't say, I am feeling what upset about this or I'm happy about this, it's like you're sort of forced into a situation where you're not talking about somebody else.
Well, it's funny because my team, they're, you know, they're each of them are pretty insightful in their own way. But one person said, well, it's going to be a little boring without all the drama. I know, it was so good. And we all got a really good chuckle out of it. Like, whatever shall we complain about, you know? So it's good. It's good. We can, yeah, yeah, we can be more conscious about that, you know? Can we not replace it with something else? You know, can we replace it with an opportunity to, yeah, just reflect or
Boredom is such an important experience. It's like to me, boredom makes space for any kind of change. It's that, again, it's that familiar kind of example of drama versus just letting it be quiet and having something said that it could even be boring, right? Yeah, I mean, I've seen it in place that I worked at for many years, a huge shift in the culture of the organization through the end of some of the leadership being so controlling. Yeah.
Thank you. I know you're not a job coach, but I appreciate your thoughts.
What?
But I know you're not a job coach, but I appreciate your thoughts.
A lot of it comes from where you can hook into, you know, creating a more, it's caring, kind, but spacious. It's like the more you bring that into it, the more it's possible that people catch it. It's infectious. You know, goodness can be infectious. It doesn't have to always be that that old kind of tough model. Uh, it doesn't, I mean, there's a lot of places of change right now in these organizations, you know, not always. Sometimes you have to leave. Yay, hi.
Hi, long time.
Yeah.
So I'm now embroiled in a whole bunch of thought stuff around sticky compassion. Um, I see you light up. Yeah. So it's by nature in the West to have it sticky. You know, I mean, I lived in the East for years and it wasn't sticky. And so I think if I'm changing to unsticky compassion, then I'm becoming an Easterner. And am I changing my culture? You know, and I get into a whole labyrinth of ideas around that. But what I'm hoping you'll say is that if you're moving between compassion and equanimity, it just happens by itself. And it's the surrender or the no resistance that moves you there without a lot of other argument or mental action or whatever. It's the resistance that's a problem. I mean, it's confusing because once you lose sticky compassion, then you think, do I really care about this situation? You know, it's like it's I mean, I don't know, it's a lifelong habit of acting in a certain way. And you live in relationships with your wife or other people, and it's like um, it's that coolness is, you know, a different attitude or just presence, and so it's interpreted differently. And
Well,
so,
I think that you've hit the nail on the head, and that it's good to define the stickiness, because often the stickiness is a condition. We're putting a condition on the compassion, and often the condition is that we can make the pain go away, or we can make somebody else's pain go away, right? Or, and it's not that we don't want um, the end of suffering, but it's like understanding that that has different meanings to different people. What the end of suffering really would mean, right? So, from a more Eastern way, the end of suffering is the end of greed, hatred, and delusion. Um, and so, when you look at sticky compassion, it's really all about motivation. It all comes down to motivation. And when the motivation that's where I was trying to say today, that if there's equanimity, which is unconditional acceptance or peace with things as they are, you're including the acceptance of the pain in those moments, so that the care is very pure. The care is just very, so it doesn't necessarily mean not warm, but it definitely means not controlling. So you're not trying to control with your heart. Your heart is at peace, so that purifies the compassion, and then that compassion can actually purify the equanimity. If it's getting so cool, it's cold, right? Then you would bring in the compassion, but it's not as I think what you're trying to ask about, and it's very important, you're not trying to be the Wizard of Oz here, where you're just like controlling this process within ourselves. It's much more that that's what I was trying to say in the instruction. It's a very light touch. It's like a very light touch and you see what happens, and a very light touch and you see what happens. And a lot of the work is accepting the resistance to the pain, and or accepting other people's resistance to the pain. Because then it's just like it all gets sticky, because the motivation is control.
But isn't that what love is?
Control?
Mm-hmm.
What's a good question? Could you define that, please?
You want it to be better, for whoever, including yourself.
Like, may you be safe and protected from inner and outer harm.
Yeah, it's endless,
It's a wish, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if that's not, if you understand what it being safe is from inner and outer harm, it would include being with things as they are. That's peace, right? It's very, no, this is very, it's very paradoxical. And I think you'd always wish, you're a doctor, you're always going to wish to make something less, you're going to want to make things as good as they can be, given that you're not God.
I'm not.
That is a lot of our issue, our omnipotence and our omniscience and all that. Yeah. But you know what I mean? It's like you can want something to be better, but you can't control that
Mm-hmm.
up to a point. If only this meant that then I don't have to do anything, right? But it doesn't. It's paradoxical. It means that we do our best without being attached to the result of the effort.
Hmm. Does that happen on its own?
Boy, would I wish that for all human beings. I don't think it happens without effort, but I think the level that you're asking it is important. So I don't think you're asking, can I just not practice with any of this stuff? And I don't think that's what you're asking. I do think that when for example, you sit for 45 minutes and you just sort of let whatever happens happen, and you pay attention to it, and often with enough skill, what you're trying to do is let things be. You're just trying not to, you're not trying to manipulate every sound, every sight, every smell, every taste, every touch, every thought, every emotion, that with the manipulation of being motivated by greed, hatred, and delusion. that's what you're trying not to do. So if you're asking if that's what you're not doing, yeah, there's a lot of not doing.
So it's purifying motivation.
That's what it's all about. It's
Okay,
100%, 100%. Yeah.
we can stop there then.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's brilliant. That's what this is. That's all that this is pure. That's the the path of purification that this called is really the path of purifying motivation.
Hmm. Cool. Thanks.
Oh yeah, it's great to talk with you. Mm. Deborah, hi.
Hi. Hi. So, to piggyback on what Jean was saying, a couple of things. One thing is, so I've been working lately with um, just just being silent when I'm with someone else, like what we were saying about not talking about other people and seeing what happens and sometimes there's silence and it's awkward, I feel uncomfortable, but it's something that I'm working with. And I wonder if you have any words of wisdom about, when you're sitting there, you're with another person and you don't keep the conversation going. You just are silent and you feel awkward. If you have any um, words of wisdom on how I can be in that situation. I mean, of course, I can just be aware of how I'm feeling and and just. But anything else that you might have to say about it?
Well, I have a lot of things directions I go with it, but I think if you look at like really quiet people, there are people that are much quieter than other people. Other people are more comfortable talking, and the quiet people actually aren't uncomfortable. They like it. They actually enjoy it. And so um, to me, this is so great because you're describing that you're the one who's uncomfortable and feeling awkward. And a lot of that will be like if you can do compassion practice for yourself or loving kindness for yourself and really play with this like mindfulness practice, the soft readiness. That description of soft readiness of mindfulness is what you're doing is you're just allowing for things to unfold without like control again, right? Without the need to have a lot of chit chat. Um, and I think I mean, you guys might laugh at me, but where I've learned the most about this is with the feral cats because they don't need to fill the space with chit chat. They love just sitting there, not, they're very present. They want they want me to sit outside there with them. I call it quality time because I'm usually busy and I go out and I'm like, it's time for quality time. And then I'll be sitting there going, wow, like sometimes it's very hard for me to let go of all the chores and all the stuff I'm supposed to be doing and just sit there because they're not going to be talking back and going, "Oh, Michelle, I just like saw this great thing and it was really good." And they just sit there and they look around and often what I used to find the most disturbing because I never had animals, they often look completely the other way. They don't look at me, right? And so if I'm looking one way, they get behind me and they look the completely opposite direction. And for years, I'd be like, wow, I wonder if there's somebody who understands feral cat behavior because they don't. They have no need for eye contact. They don't. But what I'm saying is that by surrendering to that and surrendering to that, I've learned more about being quiet with people, humans.
Mm-hmm.
I learned it through them. So I'm going to give another example. When I came home on an airplane the other night, the person who was going to pick me up couldn't. And I knew I was going to be, I still am exhausted. Like I knew I was going to be super exhausted. And I kind of knew this person's son. I had a feeling he wasn't that reliable. And this is really funny because I tried to write a text message to the person saying, are you sure this person's reliable without saying it? Like, I didn't want to accuse the person, but I kind of was like, are you sure they're going to, like, are you sure they're going to be on time? Are you sure? But of course, okay, so I don't know this person. I know the parents well, and I just made space for a lot of silence. And what was so cool is that like it's only our need for something to happen a certain way that is the issue, because by allowing the silence and allowing the silence, it made space for him to start talking. And we found really cool things to talk about, but there were always these long periods of quiet that made space for him to be able to talk. And it was really special for both of us to find these very interesting places. I think he was surprised that he could talk with. He's a young guy, like local guy. I think he was surprised we had such rich conversation. Do you see what I'm saying? Like that you have to
Yeah,
be
absolutely.
willing to go through that, giving somebody else the space to talk when they are going to talk.
Yeah, yeah. What you said originally about doing metta, were you talking about in the moment? Like, so when you were with that guy, say, I know you didn't feel uncomfortable probably, but let's say that you felt uncomfortable, would you start doing metta or compassion for yourself right in that moment?
Yeah, I do a lot of metta and compassion practice. So yeah, it's like very
Yeah, just very
natural for me to just shift to that, or for the person, or back and forth. I mean, that's like um,
breathing.
that's just, I think it's so important. It's
Yeah,
a practice that I've cultivated for years of just
yeah.
it's a great option. No, it's such a good option.
Yeah,
Well, like really, all of us always have that choice. And like when you understand the human condition and predicament that we all have, pleasant, unpleasant, neutral, streaming by karmically, when you get what we're all up against, then compassion or metta is pretty easy.
yeah, yeah.
And even if you have like, I don't have it, you know, for years I had like a simple mala around my wrist, and then I would just, do a phrase when I don't do the phrases as much anymore, but I do them when I need them. But it helps to kind of ground your Brahma Vihara practice.
Yeah, yeah,
And you just adding into it. See, like it doesn't have to be metta. It could be, uh, if it feels awkward, things are as they are. Like you could just like, it can just
mm,
help ground that experience of like, it's okay to feel awkward.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Equanimity is my thing anyway, that comes most naturally to me.
And
So,
so you usually want to play to your strength. That's
yeah,
you play to the strength. That's in all of life, you play to the strength, and then you bring in the metta.
yeah, yeah,
Somebody more metta, then you play to that, so that you're going with what's the Brahma Viharas. You always go with what's easy.
yeah.
Just go with what's easy. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, this.
Thanks. Thanks.
Hmm. I think when we speak about Eastern or Western, or I think that practice of remembering with the Brahma Viharas, you go with what's easy is so meaningful. It's
Yeah.
it's so utterly important and meaningful for all of us.
It's so passionate.
Yeah, no, it is. It is, and it actually, because it's compassionate, it actually is much more pragmatic.
Yeah.
It works.
Yeah.
Gina. Oh, okay. Hi,
Hi,
Gina.
Michelle. So speaking of metta practice and going with what's easy, is I'm actually looking for an easy person to practice metta for, but I'm really struggling. Like a common, like I'll find someone who I'll be like, oh, I think this person will work. Like, but then like all of the kind people that are easy, I like get jealous of them for being like kind and happy. And I just like can't find, well, I actually have one. I have one reliable person, but sometimes it can get weak for me. So I don't know if you have any thoughts on,
Ah, well, have you developed a lot of non-human beings?
I've been thinking about that. And so it's a great push. I haven't.
I mean, it's the level to which doing what's easy with metta is so important. Like if it's the sky or a tree or a cat or a buffalo or I mean really a stone, this is so important. And to like you're developing this stuff for years. It's like the breath or sound, or it's like you go in Vipassana, you have an anchor that's the easiest for you. With a metta, you're really cultivating easy. And when I first did this practice with Sayadaw U Pandita, he didn't explain anything. No, really. And I thought I kept failing the practice because I did it for months, with him, and he never moved me off easy, but I never really got it, like that I had to really find easy, right? And I kept finding somebody who I was like, when I was doing, I'll never forget it because I was doing walking meditation, and I'd be standing there and I would put the image of the person I was doing and walk toward them, and I'd be like, and then there was the time I'd remember something and I would be like, and it was just not happening. Now for you, it's not. And then there was the time it's more like you're too happy. Like, I'm not gonna, yeah, right.
Like, you don't need my happiness.
Right.
Yeah, there is a layer of well, when you said the animals, like, I feel like an animal would be a good idea, and like a bee comes to mind, but I feel like there has to almost the easy person has to deserve my metta. Like it's just some reflex inside of me. Like where a bee, I know that they're under pressure from the climate. And
And that pressure, that what you're seeing, and what's so hard in the metta practice is you're seeing your condition, right? It's unconditional, and then you're supposed to see it. Like that's the idea, is that you develop with easy as best you can, so that when you do move to somebody, there's more conditions. Then you go back to easy. So you're not making the metta happen. It's the metta that is making metta happen, right? It's
Mm,
called it's called breaking down the barriers. And the breaking down the barrier, it with us, we tend to want to do it with willpower rather than with metta. So that's why you go with what's easy, because even with easy, if it's not working, you go to something else easy. You're trying to like
mm,
cultivate the metta. That's it. And the more you understand it, then the more you don't give yourself a hard time for the condition metta, because that's what we're all dealing with.
mhm. Are you kind of saying like my easy person, my reliable easy person, like they naturally bring up metta? So are you almost saying like you're finding a person where metta just comes up naturally.
as best you can.
Yeah. Yeah.
Usually there's gonna, at some point, it's a purification practice. You're meant to see where anything might become conditional.
Mm, mm. And so then the conditional is where I'm like, it's, I'm only able to find that metta when I'm like, oh, you suffer enough to deserve my metta.
Yeah,
That's like,
perfect example of an aversion type. That's how aversion types are. Yeah. Okay. It's
yeah,
just like that's just what happens.
yeah.
Do you understand that?
I
Like that
think so.
you're
Yeah,
getting to see where the aversion is.
yeah, definitely. Yeah. Yeah, I love that you're saying that because like I'm even relating to that differently. Where
It
I'm like,
means the practice is working if you see that.
mm,
For you, you get to see that what the metta is that every being deserves it,
mm,
right? That's unconditional. And there's
mm.
some people where you're like, I don't know if that's like really not possible, right? And then you go, great, I can't, that's fine, I can't do it. I'd find someone else to do it with,
Mm,
some other being.
interesting. Yeah. Are you also saying like, yeah, it's like, so metta is unconditional. And when I can find where I'm putting in conditions and I can see it, like something is working.
It means that the purification happened. Yeah, it's good news.
Okay, cool.
And then
Cool.
how you work with that, some people have a ton of self-hatred or
Mhm.
they hate the practice versus just going, oh, it's time to move to easy.
Okay, move to easy.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you so much. I can't wait to try it out. Thank you.
great. Okay, Erin.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Hi, I can see you fine.
Can you hear me?
As
Okay.
good as these ears work these days without my headphones.
Mm. Um, I think this is a little bit of a piggyback on Dan's purification of motivation. Um, so I'm kind of in a spot right now that I have to just do not as much as I'm used to. Um, and I'm noticing, um, I guess my question is around control and good old control. Um, and disconnection versus acceptance and kind of like the play between I want to use the word like just not apathy. It's not apathy. It's just kind of like not even surrender, but kind of like that. I can't find the exact word, but I guess I get confused where it's like I can see how when I'm not doing and pushing and striving and all of the things, I think because I've just had a break where I literally physically just have not been able to do any much. Um, it's kind of giving me a window into other, I mean, actually not doing anything physically is fine. It's okay. It's just giving me an opportunity to kind of look at like, oh, um, is it that I'm just giving up or oh, what's the word? I don't know. It's just the big
I mean, giving up tends to have it.
like a surrender kind of like if I stop pushing and trying to like do all these things, then underneath all of that, which I think is trying to control, there's this
Usually, usually.
You know, it's there's like this kind of, it feels very
Okay.
bland.
Okay, it can feel like a free fall. Okay, so it can
Yeah.
now what we want to see is there a feeling of defeat?
Mm, only slightly.
Okay,
It's
so
more like just, it's kind of like, God forbid, some acceptance,
right.
but then kind of bumps into like aversion to that, because then there's pain, then there's some pain, then there's pain and grief. But
Well, I think that you've hit, I would say that could be that process that you just described. This is not like always like an algebra equation, A plus B equals C, but often that when we are in some ways forced to do a lot more non-doing and not in our usual routines of being able to keep a certain amount of pain at bay. Um, it is like a free fall. It's like you have to go through this uncomfortable place where a different motivation has to come. And that's like it's deep practice. It's like we all go through these places for different reasons, but often we don't often always choose it like consciously. We end up in circumstances in life where we're kind of forced into a more introverted place. And a lot of the energy, I think in your case, is going into healing your body. Like the energy is not going into a lot of doing. And so there is a grief process, just like there's a grief process with Vipassana itself. It's like when you start seeing that things aren't like how you thought they were, right? Like, for example, wisdom tells me I'm nothing. There's a grief process. Love tells me I'm everything. There's no grief process. But it's like there's levels in the practice where when you have to kind of stop, like you just really stopped. The brakes just really went on. And letting things be just as they are, like when you say there's some acceptance, I think there is. There is. But we forget that we pay a price for acceptance.
Mhm.
If you look at the world right now and you look at the human condition and there's so much stress, it's like, and like everything everyone has said really today, but there's a familiarity and a comfort, being comfortable more with the, it's like the ping pong game of stress, like, right? It's just like you're just not able to stop. And when you're able to stop, uh, I would say, I'm happy for you if you feel some grief. Because you've let that surrender is happening, and there's just inevitably a grief process with that. And the little me, I think, or I believe, actually, I believe the little me, the personal self, as Nisargadatta said, the acceptance of pain brings us much deeper than that not. And so that bringing us much deeper, it's the happiness of peace, but the price is usually a grief process. I honestly don't know why more people aren't crying at this point. I hope that privately they are.
But there's like a, hmm, yeah, being able just to like touch the grief come out, but then it's just like it's scary, I think, because I've been there before and I've realized that control is avoidance.
Well, control is a really good defense system, and we all have needed it, and we need, you need it as much as you need it, but often this stuff isn't always pretty. So it's like if you had been given just enough time out versus this huge timeout, right? It would have been probably easier.
Or a planned timeout. Those planned timeouts are great. This was unplanned. So it's like you said, it was just like,
Yeah, forced. Surprise. This is not easy, Aaron. The shock. I would call it a shock.
mhm.
Aaron, you might still be in shock.
Mm.
In fact, I would guess you are. Yeah, and I think you're right in that you don't want to drown in depressive sorrow for the next 5 days, right? I mean, that's not maybe what you want to do, right?
No. And I think it's just like even I think you said like I'm here and I recognize I'm really protecting what's happening right now in the sense of like I'm really not interacting a lot with other people in the way that I would have before because I know that I need to protect it. So,
It's not a social time. Thank God you're doing that.
okay.
It's hard to take it seriously, I think, Aaron. You've been taking care of everybody else for so long, and you're being forced to take yourself seriously in a way that is essential and important. But it's like it was 100% change. It's like I'm not trying to joke about it in the way it might sound, but it's like you just like were going 90 miles an hour and you just like had to put on the brakes. It's like it's intense.
Mhm. Yeah. And I think I just yeah, it's like when you know something, you know it's not sustainable. Yet somehow you keep going.
Right.
So
Yeah. That's like the story of the human Homo sapien right now. You're doing your part, Erin.
my non-doing part.
Well, I really have to say, the more people who stop and just like can go through this process, can you imagine what the planet does? It probably goes, oh, it just probably the whole planet just goes, yeah, yeah, right.
Mhm. Mm, thank you.
Yeah. Mm. Karen, no.
So I think this is a repeat of what Aaron just said, uh, um, but I think the part, okay, I'm in week 5 of recovery from the surgery. It's been a bitch, and I did not expect it to be this hard. I mean, I might not have done it, but frankly, even though I needed it. So, and I'm not sure I've ever been so stopped, in keeping what you were talking about. And I think when you started talking about grief, I had this huge sadness. And I don't know if I really have a question, but I just felt the need to say something because I just, I have no idea where I'm going and if I'm going. And I used to live my life where I would I'd have these sailing trips or these kayak trips, and I sort of did my life for 11 months of the year so I could do the 12th month, that. And I would have often spiritual journeys on these things, but it was a time where I could go really into myself. And now I don't even know if I'll ever kayak again. And that was always, well, it used to be sailing, and then I can't do sailing anymore, so I've gone to kayaking. And this so-called recovery, and I don't know what it doesn't feel like recovery. I didn't realize recovery was hell. And it's very, I'm on this, so I'm gonna have to be on a soft food diet. First I was on animal fluids, liquids, and that means that I put an awful lot of effort into trying to figure out what is soft food and how it doesn't make my throat constrict and stuff, because it was esophageal surgery. And it also, and I didn't realize this till I really suffered a lot, that when you're eating these kind of things, you don't get enough sugar or protein, because mashed potatoes, what, what do they give you? I mean, it's just like some calories. So I would have these episodes that I didn't really understand, that my blood sugar would go down. And finally, I looked the damn thing up, and they had this perfect explanation of, you shake, you feel like you're gonna faint, you're totally weak, you're just literally, and often I'm just standing somewhere, and all of a sudden I think I'm gonna fall down.
I call it hypoglycemic.
Yeah, is that what it is?
Yeah, I know it really well. It's like I'm only laughing because I know it so well. Your whole body just
Yeah,
goes like that. Yeah.
yeah. And at the same time, I'm nebulizing albuterol, so that also makes me shake.
Right.
And anyway, but the grief is that I too have not wanted to talk to people. I've been probably the least social I've ever been, and not that I'm a social butterfly, but anyway, it just it's like I look forward, and I don't see anything, because if I'm attached to kayaking,
I don't think that you have all blank pages in the book left. I don't think they're all blank, but I think like right now, it just to kind of, you can tell yourself this is impermanent, right? But you might not totally believe it, but you know, aging and getting sickness, and you know, there's levels to which when the Buddha said, old age, I spit on you, it's a very important, right? Old age, I spit on you. I want to say sometimes old age, I vomit on you. Like it's really hard, you know, and it's just like you have to look at when you're in these situations, all the things that made life on the surface for us that we'll say it makes life worth living, right? Or and then on this on a deep level, you sound like you feel lost.
Very.
But I can assure you that again, it's like there are these free falls that happen in our lives for different circumstantial reasons, but the inner resources that you will find sometimes looking back, you might not be able to look at it now, but looking back on it, you'll find that there's a strength that will be coming that has nothing to do with experience. And that is Vipassana. I mean, ultimately, wisdom is not having to depend on experience to be okay.
That
And
almost sounds like freedom.
you're getting a big dose of it. You know, I'm hoping that you at least can try Ensure. I have my sister on Ensure, but it's like my dad, for a lot of his last years, I mean, it was at least 15 or 20 years, he had to blend everything. He couldn't eat solid food for all those years. And he adjusted to it.
So I get really pissed off when people say it's old age.
Oh, well.
Because I know that it is some of it. I'm just saying, I, you know, because then I don't have any hope. I mean, then I don't have any, I'm just, it's like, am I going to be in this shit pile forever? You know, and that's how that part of me, the resistance part of me, sees it. And then I go, fuck, I don't know, you know, excuse me here. I
Oh,
always
well,
swear,
that's
but
good. I don't know is true. I don't know is very true. But I don't, like I said, I don't think some people maybe here today only have blank pages left. That's how hard it can get.
yeah.
I'm with somebody every day that has that now, and it's very hard. But it's like, you know, I don't think that's where you're at all. But I think it wouldn't probably be happening to you if you were 6 or 10 or 15. I think it has something to do with getting old. But I don't think you're at the place where you're gonna kick the bucket. I just don't. But I think you're in a hard place, and 5 weeks is a long time.
Yeah, and it does brings up a lot of grief. You know, when I can even creep up on the acceptance of old age, which is about, you know, it's looking at it at a very small angle. Uh, it's very sad, and I have friends who are having trouble, and you know, we're all, you know, having trouble. Not everybody, but a lot of us, and it's just, I don't know. I just, I can see my attachments to you know, to civil rights still, and to, you know, reaching out to people and doing that stuff, and yet I can't, you know. And
All the energy is going into healing. All the energy is going into healing. All the energy
yeah,
is healing. And sadness is okay. Like sadness is good. Sadness is good. You know, it's like important. That's why I said I'm happy when people can be sad. It's the people that can't be sad that I worry about.
yeah, I didn't used to be able to cry, and Yeah, it's just, it seems terribly sad.
It is. It's sad.
Yeah. It was when you used the word grief that I raised my hand because I have a lot of it.
Yeah, you're very brave. You're very brave to be doing this right now. It's very brave. It takes a lot of courage, and unfortunately, when you're recovering, you don't have the energy to be courageous as much as you'd like. So I totally get it, you know. And it's not moving nearly as fast as you want it to.
No,
You know, it's hard.
it's creeping.
Yeah.
It is better than it was, a week or so ago, because at least I figured out the blood sugar thing so that after I eat a meal, I have a little sugar, and that seems to really, because in this thing online, it said an hour or so after your meal, that's when you crash. So now I do a little sugar there. So, it just seems to help. And today I didn't do it, and man, I might, oof,
Oh,
everything, went to hell, but I'm better just that I can talk about it. So I'm really
sure.
glad. I so appreciate your kindness, but also your wisdom, because to me, you've been through, when you speak, you've been, a lot of it, I feel sorry for you,
And another one of
but
those.
I know you're talking
Very-
from
I'm being
experience.
very au courant. I'm being very au courant. It's not a memory. It's like I'm in a real good one. Yeah. So, yeah,
Yeah,
it just doesn't move fast sometimes.
yeah. So
But I
thank you.
don't know if we call your situation chronic. I think we'll keep calling it acute for now.
Yeah, okay.
It's not chronic, it's acute.
Bless you.
So we could make a bet. That could spice it up a little bit. I bet acute.
Yeah. Oh, thank you very much. Your kindness and your wisdom always blows me away. So,
The sugar, that's always
in a good
good.
way.
Yeah, sugar. Mm, good.
Thank you.
Mm, a lot of care, compassion, equanimity. Yay. Oh, we gotta stop. It's 4. Sorry, Julie. Is there Amanda? I don't know if you can.
All I wanted to say was I'm so grateful for just about everyone's topics today. They've just went like, yes, yes,
Oh, thanks,
yes,
Julie.
yes, yes. So thank you so much. Thank you, Karen.
Mm.
Yeah.
Thank you
See you
so
next
much,
Sunday.
Michelle. Thank you. Yes, see everybody next Sunday.
Thank you, Amanda.
Mhm.
Thanks, everybody.